Hi, guys. I'm Nina.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Ethan.
And we are Bloody Essentials. We just want to thank all of our listeners for supporting the podcast. Thanks, guys, so much. It really means a lot. And it allows us to continue to do what we're doing. So thank you. Also, shout out to our Patreon members, Rick, Paulton, and Swift. Guys, thank you so much for contributing to the show. It really means so much to us to have you guys on board, supporting us, and we can't wait to hang out very soon on a movie party.
Definitely. We appreciate you guys.
Yep. Upcoming appearances are going to be in May. It's Chicago Horror Film Festival, May 15th through the 18th. All right. And with that, I'll get into introducing our guest. We have Stephanie Sack. Hello.
Hey, Stephanie.
Hey. Hello. How are you guys?
Oh,
we're doing great.
We're doing great.
Wonderful.
Stephanie, will you tell our listeners a little bit about how you're related to the Chicago Horror Film Festival?
That is a really, really good question, Nina. One I ask myself fairly often. How did I end up with the Chicago Horror Film Festival? Could be answered in many ways. The long and the short of it is I'm a daughter of Chicago. I love horror, I love film, and I love to put together festivals. So in many ways, fate was kind of came for me with the Chicago Horror Film Fest. So last year I got a crazy idea. I wanted to do a Final Girl Fest and really show off the ladies who, got the bad guy or the bad girl or got away. I love when chicks get away.
Yes.
And
I don't.
Right? In my discussions about this particularly obsessive topic, I was introduced to the one and only CJ, who was putting together a series of fests locally and regionally. Mm-hmm. And we decided to join forces, and I ended up producing the Final Girl block in the Chicago Horror Film Fest that happened last September. And I screened a wonderful Final Girl film by local director Jennifer Reeder. And it was just so amazing to not only promote the idea of like women kicking ass on screen, but also enjoy women kicking ass in Chicago about the screen. So we had such a great time, and the people who attended were just so passionate. The venue was so perfect. The whole thing just really came together, and it was obvious that my fate was sealed. So we're going into May with a fantastic concept called Cannibal, because the weekend of Cannes is also the weekend we are doing our fest. So no need to go to France. Come and hang out with the Cannibal in Chicago.
I love it so much. Yes.
Spent a lot of time alone, obviously.
Oh, no, not at all. You're in good company here.
Thank you. I can tell.
No, we love women in horror. That's one of our favorite things about horror. And as Ethan will tell you, he's a big lover of that female actresses in horror, right, Ethan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Love women, love horror, love women in horror. # boobs. So.
Et voila. UET.
Love it so much. All right.
I don't ever obsess about any women in horror, though.
Never.
Never.
No.
I can see the lack of obsession in your eyes.
Exactly.
So, Stephanie, we're talking women in Italian cinema tonight and their contributions. Tell us what specifically about Italian horror gets your heart rate pumping.
It's so simple. I've thought about this for so many years. I've been asked this question so many times, and it really comes down to I love watching beautiful, morally ambiguous people do terrible things to each other. I love it.
That's such a great answer.
I know.
It's so thrilling, the evasion, how beautiful they are, the clothes, the twists of the plot. I also love that even as the films were really addressing the modernity of the situation. So much was happening globally in the late 60s and through the 70s. But I also love the classic underpinnings, the Gothic flourishes, the big haunted houses, the women walking around with candles, what the hell's going on? And I also love that this group of directors, producers, actors, composers were all educated about the classics. And it was this post-war generation who put very Agatha Christie type of plots, and then there were none. You don't know who the killer is. Yeah. With, of course, the glamour of post-war Italy. I mean, cinema got the country back on the map after the war, and the amount of films that were made, it's so great because there's never an end to morally ambiguous, beautiful Italian people doing terrible things to each other.
Thank goodness.
That's one hell of an answer.
I love it so much.
Thank
you.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What started your love of horror?
So, when I was hatched, in Lakeview in Chicago. I grew up on the corner of Wellington and Pine Grove, actually.
Oh, wow.
And there was a little commissary, a little grocery store. And the owner had a rack of films you could rent. And this was like 86, 87. So I was like, oh, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. That looks pretty good.
Great
and
movie.
Then I rented I Spit on Your Grave, and then I rented A Clockwork Orange. So I kind of blame this little grocery store for about 7% of everything that's wrong with me. But then, of course, growing up in Chicago, I was very lucky. I had, in walking distance, amazing rental places that were, unbeknownst to me at the time, curating this amazing Euro sleaze. I rented the Psychic a million times. Like, at one point, the owner was like, "You've ruined the VHS." And I'm like, "I'm 14, I'm horrible. I don't know what to tell you." But just right off the rip, I was just besotted by, I think, the melancholy, the slowness. I love when nothing happens for a long time. I loved the when it came to the horror, I always appreciated when it wasn't necessarily the gore. Like, I've never been a gore hound. I like the surprise. I like the shift in the eyes. And this was all from a very young age. Like, I was babysitting children, and then I was using the babysitting money to rent Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yes. That's amazing.
I was
very lucky. I had liberal, wonderful parents who were like, "We're working, just watch what you want." Like, it all sort of added up where just from a very young age, it was, I think, the imagery, the slowness, the changes that were so specific to horror. And you just did, especially for films of the 80s, it just, it wasn't there. It was all coming out of Europe, here and there from the States. But I also think the exotic element, that it wasn't from here, really appealed to me as well. And I've always loved watching foreign films with subtitles. Like, the more crazy the language is, and the more demented the translation is, kind of the happier I was. So, yeah, it all sort of snowballed from a very, very young age, for sure.
I love that so much.
What are some of your favorite horror movies, especially Giallos?
Well, I it's so funny. Again, I'm always asked this question. And I think just right off the rip, and especially because of who we're going to be discussing, I think you got to put in an Argento. And right now, my go-to is Tenebrae. But if you ask me tomorrow, it might be Suspiria. And if you ask me next week, it might be Four Flies. But obviously, the Suspiria was the film that crossed over. And I think watching a film about a young American girl traveling to Germany, I just bought into the whole story. And that was probably the gateway drug in terms of the genre, as it is with many people, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I also think of all the Martinos. Yes. All the Martinos I've watched of the canonical Gialli. all the colors of the dark. I don't think Sergio was any better than that. The sadness, the way the editing is very elliptical, the sophistication, and of course, no one is more beautiful than Edwidge. It's just not possible. So,
I know.
And I loved that film because it's not violent. The intensity, the horror is all up here.
Yeah.
And as I age, I'm more and more in touch with that sadness of a woman negotiating her way through painful moments in life, really. And then as kind of a wild card, I'm going to have to throw in a neo Gialli, and I'm going to say Knife and Heart, which is like French. I mean, it's so the colors, the twist at the end. So I'm always really impressed and would like to see more modern directors, obviously, not only paying homage, but putting their own twist on it. And I think something like Knife and Heart, which ironically takes place in the 70s, still feels very modern. So I'm sort of, in a weird way, I'm sort of predictable with what my favorites are. But over the next couple of minutes, I'll probably yell out, "Oh, that's my favorite too!" So
I understand.
I like to be pinned down only for a couple seconds here and there. I'm also a big fan of what I call like Giallo, not Giallo, like the films that are sort of on the sides of Giallo, that they were influenced, or they had the crew or the same set. I love how those elements can work in so many other films as well. So some offbeat films are really my favorite. I just saw The Tenant by Polanski, and that has a lot of like the intimacy of Giallo, the uncertainty of Giallo, the playing with gender of Giallo. So I'm lots of films are my favorite.
I get it. Same.
No, you're fine. I totally get it. When people ask me what my favorite is, it bounces back and forth all the time. It's like, today it's this, tomorrow it could be anything.
Right.
Who knows? Yeah.
Best problem.
Same.
Best problem in the world.
Yeah.
But I will say Suspiria is such a great gateway. That movie like changed my DNA when I saw it for the first time, I feel like.
Yeah.
Jamie, I'm also going to say every watch still changes the DNA. Like,
yes.
Every time I see it, I'm like watching it all over again. Like, what? It's
I know.
just like, and I think the really good films of the genre, and in fact of the decade, sort of exist in that timelessness. Like, it could be today, it could be yesterday, it could be 40 years ago, it could be in a different timeline, in a different dimension. And Suspiria is like, I mean, that's the chef's kiss of, WTF, Giallo, not Giallo. And I mean that.
Yes.
It really is. Yes.
Yeah. Increasingly so over the years as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of Suspiria, let's get into our very first lady. You can't talk about Italian cinema without talking about Daria Nicolodi, right?
I mean, we are all standing on the shoulders of Daria Nicolodi.
Oh,
I feel like Daria was in Giallo for our sins. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's such an interesting screen presence. Her history in terms of contribution to Italian film is obviously in front of the camera in many ways. I mean, referencing Tenebrae, for example, that last scene of her with the screams in the rain, and she's wearing a watch, which I just sends me the detail. And I also think that, and I say this with love in my heart, she was not a typically beautiful movie star. She was very real, very magnetic, and I don't think she was ever better than in how she played off of David Hemmings in Deep Red, for example. I mean, she's in a different movie altogether. Yes. And in many ways, she makes the film, because if you really drill down, someone else could have played the main gent. Someone else could have played the crazy mom at the end.
Yeah.
No one else could have played the Daria Nicolodi character. And in many ways, I really consider that performance a forerunner of Scully, of Dana Scully, like sort of a getting to Scully kind of thing. But I also really want to point out that her professional tentacles were absolutely amazing. For example, in the filming of Inferno, when Argento was ill, she called Mario Bava, of all fucking people, let's be real here.
Yeah.
I go to New York and like pitched in when our boyfriend Dario was unable to, he had sepsis, hepatitis, something terrible.
Yeah.
And she was, I mean, that to me is the mark of a producer, you know, like that was a problem. And she solved it with absolutely a godfather of the genre. And of course, she worked with him in his last film.
Yep.
She's done a lot of stories, a lot of screenwriting for Paganini Horror, for example. I think that was 88, so sort of toward the end of the genre. And I think the more you sketch out the topography of women's contributions, she's just, you know, at the top of that mountain. What a fantastic lady. Where would we be without Daria?
She crawled so we could walk.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know.
She went like this so we could stab.
That's right. Exactly.
Yes.
Let me get into a little bit of her background real quick. So she was born in Florence. Her father was a lawyer. Her mother was a scholar of ancient languages. She moved to Rome in the 60s, where she studied at the National Academy of Dramatic Arts, and she began working on stage initially. Her
I think a lot of the actors and actresses did. Rome had a fantastic theater scene at that time.
Yeah. Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Screen debut was in 1970. She went on to do many other films and TV productions throughout the 70s and 80s. But she met Dario Argento in 74 during the casting for the film of Deep Red. And that was where they formed their romantic and professional relationship. And a year later, here comes Asia. Yes. 1 year later, here comes Asia walking out.
That's right. That's
another great woman of Italian
horror. And how amazing that, of course, Daria Nicolodi is the matriarch of a generational contribution to Italian cinema as well. Not many ladies can say that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And, you know, during their relationship, Daria contributed ideas to the scripts of many Argento films, including Suspiria and Inferno, although she only ever received writing credit for Suspiria. She starred in many of his films, including Deep Red, Inferno, Tenebrae, Phenomena, and Opera.
I mean, hold on, stop there. Name a better range of film.
Right? All of his most popular films.
I know. Not a bad one in that bunch. Like.
No, not a bad one at all.
No, and he could not have done it without her. I really think that she's the quintessence. You know, she can be the star, she can be the ensemble player, she can be the plot hinge, she can be in the background. She's just Argento's camera just loves her, and that series of films really shows it.
Oh yeah. Definitely. When she's on camera, like you're just drawn.
You can't look anywhere else.
Yeah. I think the first time I saw her, I just was hypnotized because of her eyes. Her eyes are just so gorgeous and hypnotic.
Yeah, and like she always has like a lot of intelligence and like female agency, I feel like. And I love that about her.
Yeah.
Well, she played a journalist.
Yes.
She's played a publicist.
Yeah.
She's played a teacher. I mean, she's kind of like your every woman in the good way, very recognizable, very relatable. Totally. Years ago, I screened Deep Red for a gentleman, and he didn't get it at all, and I dumped him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a red flag. If that's not a red flag, I don't know what is, right?
If you're not down with Daria in Deep Red, then you're not down with me, you know? No.
That's fair.
No.
Yeah, very fair.
All right. Let's talk about Nora Orlandi.
Nora Orlandi. Man, this is a woman who really deserves tons more flowers. You know, she just passed on January 1st of this year.
I saw that.
Around for many years and worked under some pseudonyms like they all did. But her contribution to the genre is limited but very impactful. So she did 3 soundtracks. She was a classically trained musician, very talented. She did vocals. She composed in her head. Didn't even need a piano to hear the music in her head. And in the late 60s, she was working with Luciano Martino as part of his whole production crew. And of course, Luciano is the brother of Sergio. And through that connection, Sergio met her and decided to bring her on for the soundtrack of The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward. And delicious.
Yeah.
I actually had the chance to talk to Sergio about the film.
Oh, wow.
Interestingly enough,
Interestingly
he was a little evasive about how he felt about the soundtrack. And there was one song that they were supposed to use in the scene where we now hear a heartbeat, where the Edwidge Fenwick character is trapped in the kitchen with the ice starting to melt. And Sergio felt that the music just wasn't quite right, so he switched in the heartbeat. And interestingly enough, I think that decision elevates the soundtrack completely, because when you hear that theme that Mrs. Ward hears when she, remembers all the fun she had, the bossa nova, the sort of the jazz elements, that one moment of silence really showcases how sophisticated and how necessary Nora's contribution to that film was. She also worked with Ricardo. I'm not good. How do I pronounce the last name? Double Face.
Yes.
Which is another earlier Giallo, 68, if I recall, which features Klaus Kinski, who showed up in this genre every now and again. And Double Face obviously is sort of a Vertigo a go-go, kind of a reference to women looking a certain way, and how appearances can sort of fool a gentleman, and we'll leave it at that. But again, she was working with people who were just getting started, just like she was. And well, long and the short of it is, her contributions were not, they didn't proliferate, but she was working with a group of men who went on to dominate the genre. In some cases, long after the 70s had passed. So it was her contribution in the background that has recently been rediscovered. For example, a lot of her soundtracks have been restored and re-released and sort of brought out from the shadows that composers just kind of end up in. But the fact that she was so talented, and through fate and through her own professional endeavors, was able to hook up with the Martinos. I mean, that's Olympian as far as I am concerned. Very, very well regarded by the Italian cinema family until she passed, actually. So
deservedly
really
so. Yeah. A little bit about Nora's background. She was born in 1933 in Lombardy, Italy. She got her start. Got her start composing in 1953. She was the very first female film composer of Italian cinema ever. Fascinating.
That's so cool.
Come on, that's so badass.
I know. Wow. She deserves more credit. Like, I've never really heard too much about her, so she definitely deserves more credit. Let's get a documentary or something about her.
We'll
Seriously.
start tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned.
She was a pianist, a violinist, a soprano vocalist, composer, and actress. One of her most well-known pieces, Dies Irae.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. I guarantee you most people have heard this song because the piece was later reused in Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill Volume 2. So you have heard Nora Orlandi before you even realized you did. Yeah. So
that's the best kind of education, isn't it?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
When you've got your film directors in modern times being influenced by previous generations, and then they're going on to inspire future generations with their choices. Like Quentin Tarantino never puts music in his films unless he was significantly impacted by them and he feels that they have a place in his film. So that is one of the biggest compliments, I think. So
agreed completely. And going from the hip, is there any other female composer who he's referenced? I mean,
I don't think
I don't know offhand.
Yeah.
But that it's a small sorority to be sure.
Yeah.
And I also love the idea that her music was so timeless, you know, so outside of the confines of the 20th century or women in cinema, that it could be used in this sprawling epic of Kill Bill. Just so cool. Just how she was able to hear things and, like you just said, Nina, really influence and impact people who would go on to be really important cinematic tastemakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. Just wanted to thank all of you guys for listening and supporting the podcast. If you haven't already, please follow us, like us, leave us a review. Little things like this can really help the podcast out so much. Also, if you want to hear your name mentioned in our episodes at the beginning and receive fun little goodies from the entire Bloody Essentials team, you can join our Patreon. It's 100% like no commitment. All the proceeds go back into the podcast. It helps us upgrade our recording equipment, our editing software, all those good things. And it also helps pay for our travel expenses with our upcoming appearances. So that can add up really fast, but we're looking to hopefully expand to other conventions and, you know, going to other states to see spooky attractions. So funds like that will help significantly. Also, I don't know if you guys know, but before we can actually like start receiving funds through YouTube and things like that, as horror creators, we need at least 500 followers on YouTube. So if you aren't already following us, but you listen to us and you really like our content, please like us, subscribe. It really helps out so much and it allows us to keep doing what we're doing. So we love bringing horror to you each week, whether it's content creators, our thoughts on a film. So we really want to keep doing this for as long as possible. And money is unfortunately a big way to stay on top of that. So like I said, all of your support really means a lot, and you get fun little goodies from all of us. You know, we got Bloody Essentials merch, we got horror goodies that we've been saving for you guys, whether it's stickers, horror collectibles, like I'm talking like shirts from your favorite horror companies, Fright Rags, all those good places. And then of course we've got some NECA figures and all those kinds of things. So if you want to receive fun horror goodies from your Bloody Essentials crew, join our Patreon. It's going to be a really good time. We also have a Discord channel and unedited episodes before they air. So that's always exciting. And we're hoping to be doing movie parties really soon. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, just thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll get back to the show now. And we have to get into one of my favorites after doing research here. I knew nothing about her prior to this. Let me get into Marina Cicogna. Cicogna. Okay.
Wait, Nina, this is the baddest ass bitch.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay.
So cool. Yeah, what a badass.
Let me tell a little bit about why I'm so excited, okay? She was born in 1934 in Rome. She was an Italian countess. Her maternal grandfather founded the Venice Film Festival, okay? When she was in her early 30s, she and her brother took control of her family's production and distribution company, Euro International Films. She rose to prominence in an era where only female names on film posters were those of actresses. She became one of the most powerful women in European cinema as a producer and distributor. Her early forays into the film business included distributing a 1967 West German film, Helga. First time you ever saw a birth on film. Okay, that's incredible.
That's so cool.
She studied photography in the United States. She used her connections to shoot photos for Marilyn Monroe. Like, are you serious? She guided to the screen celebrated films by Pier Paolo Pasolini, Franco Zeffirelli, and Elio Petri.
So Elio Petri, I just want to jump in. He made a fantastic Giallo, not Giallo, which I actually screened a million years ago, called The Investigation of a Citizen Above Suspicion.
Yes, I was just about to mention that. Yeah.
She produced this film starring her girlfriend, Florinda Bolkin. And this film went on to win the 1971 Academy Award for the best foreign film. So Marina was not fucking around. And of course, Petri went on to direct A Quiet Place in the Country and other Giallo-inspired or Giallo-adjacent films. So again, like her vision, the way who she was working with. I mean, I really think someone like Marina, and we'll get into some of the other films that she touched.
Yeah.
She really elevated the Italian cinema with her background as a countess that was able to place her in a certain way, but she wasn't really confined by that.
Yeah.
She threw crazy parties. She hobnobbed with all the most fabulous celebrities of the time. And she was really glamorous.
Yes.
Her comportment, the way she showed up on camera. I mean, it's a masterclass in how to own the space you are in. Just fantastic woman. And she just passed too very recently.
She did, yeah. I thought this was amazing. Marina openly dated men and women at a time where this was not culturally acceptable, nor did prominent members ever speak of this in society. Unbelievable. Like, seriously, people don't even understand. Like, that's not possible in 1960s and 70s. Like, no way.
She just, Countess Marina did not give a shit.
She did not.
And why should she? Why should she? I mean, if you can date Florinda Balkan and produce films for her, anyone who says they wouldn't is lying, okay?
Yeah.
She dated Brazilian models and all these other things. Like, come on, that's amazing.
And she looked amazing doing it. Like, she had a cool sense of style. Like, what a great woman for other women to look up to. Like, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Again, another one who was legitimately behind the scenes. And if you look at the year, I think it's 68 again, she had 3 films at Cannes, or she was dominating the European cinema scene, not only with production, but with distribution. And again, her eye for talent. She produced Medea by Pasolini. Years ago, I was at a film theater in Chicago, and I was seeing Medea, and I may or may not have been extremely stoned. And when her name came up as the producer, I went like, woohoo! Like,
oh, I love that. I love that.
I had to for Marina, you know?
Yes.
She had that touch, and I think her most amazing contribution to the genre was her production of Footprints on the Moon, which was Luigi Bazzoni's third and final Giallo. He didn't make a lot of films, but the films he made were just indelibly influential. Of course, starring her girlfriend, Florinda Balkan. And it was produced in Italy and Turkey. She worked with Vittorio Storaro, who's like, again, just a massive cinematographer. Bazzoni was an artiste of his generation. He had a light touch, and he was very into allowing women's characters to sort of fill the screen. And they made a fantastic team. And again, these films that she produced, that she distributed, that she touched, they're at the top of the heap when it comes to that era. Just the titles, the directors, the actresses, she just saw it all. You don't get women like that anymore, you know?
No, you don't. Yeah. Definitely not.
Maybe
not leading.
We'll be like that. Maybe we'll be like that.
I hope so. Oh my gosh.
But she's just, I mean, when it comes to just the dollar for dollar, the lira for lira, she was a genius and really propelled Italian film to the awards, the coverage, the glamour of it. She was really one of the main engines.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. She was so glamorous. I just love her so much. Read a story about how she invited Elizabeth Taylor to a party once. Like, Incredible.
Can't get more glamorous than that. Like
You
that's pretty
cannot,
cool.
right?
No.
Oh,
There's only one way to go, and that's down after that. Like that's
Yeah.
it. It's like a terminal state of coolness. You're done.
yeah. Yeah, you're done.
Honestly.
You can just call it for the
That's
rest of your
right.
life. Yeah.
That's right. And
Etched into the history of cool.
after 75, she stopped producing films, and I actually read a fantastic interview with her that she said when she looks back, she wish she had stayed more active.
Yes.
So that's just speaking to, you know, her own way of processing what she did and how influential she was, you know. But the fact that we have the 12 films or so that she produced, we're so lucky.
We are. Yeah. Can you imagine if she felt like she had to stay within the confines of her royalty and her titles? Like,
No,
that would be horrible.
well, we wouldn't be hanging out today now, would we? So
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we would be. We'd be talking about other women, but
That's
I was
right.
gonna say,
that would be a
Marina
crime.
it is Marina 101 tonight.
Love it.
I love it
Another
so much.
woman who like I wish more people knew a little bit about. Like I hadn't really heard of her much before this, but like researching her, she was amazing and she left such a mark. So hopefully again, like make a documentary about her too, universe.
Seriously. Yeah.
I will say this. My plan is to write a book about her.
Oh, you should.
I really want to capture her story, not as an Italian, but as, you know, you're just jabroni American.
Yeah.
Who accidentally rented Footprints on the Moon. But the way I got it was called Primal Impulse, and it was, you could bowdlerized, edited to hell. And even with my babysitting money, when I rented that film, I was like, this is not the film Marina wanted me to see.
Oh, I love that so much.
I knew. So I think she was, in fact, so influential and so important that I'd really love to distill and share her story. It's just, no one's cooler, you know?
Yeah, you seriously should. And when you do, like, please let us know, because we'll be the first ones in line buying copies.
And if you need help researching movie night, just
Yes.
saying.
But you know, the great part is there's so many other women in the industry who just who really deserve a few flowers, you know? And I'm so excited to be talking about them and sharing how excited I am to spotlight their stories and really celebrate their contributions to our favorite genre.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Giallo is really starting to come out in America as like a leading subgenre of horror. So I cannot wait to see more people learn about Italian cinema as the years go on. It's definitely going to happen.
It's my favorite.
I agree.
My love of Giallo did not start up until like a year and a half ago.
When we met.
You're prodigal.
Yes, because Jamie was like, "Oh no, you gonna watch some Giallo, Ethan? That's how that's gonna happen." She's like, "We're gonna do this podcast. You're gonna watch.
Let me take you over to the Giallo side."
Exactly.
We're gonna put on some black gloves.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm
over here.
into
Put on a
it.
black hat.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, "What do you mean you bad Italian? Bad Italian?" I'm like, "Sorry,
Seriously.
I don't know what to tell you." But
Ethan, as somebody who's like just jumped in, what's your favorite title or what's your go-to title?
oh Jesus,
There's no wrong answer, to be fair.
no, I would say Bay of Blood that we just did was pretty good. But like I said, I'm still very, very new to all of this.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get yelled at. What's
He
your
doesn't
favorite,
like
Jamie?
Argento.
What's my favorite?
Jamie, what's your favorite?
Oh, my favorite movie is Suspiria. If I was gonna pick like a Giallo, Tenebrae, is that how you say
Tenebrae.
Okay.
I think that's my favorite right now, just because I freaking love that movie so much. I never tire of it. It's so gorgeous, and like everything that happens in it is just amazing, and I love it. I do love Bay of Blood too. I think that movie's beautiful. I love the way that all the red herrings and the fun little mystery of all of that. Like I love that one.
Jamie's given me a list of ones that I have to watch. I won't get into my backstory, but the girls can tell you the last year of my life has been really, 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 really crazy.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
horribly crazy. So
Oh dear, like crazy with a K.
Yeah, big time.
We'll talk about it off.
We'll
air.
talk after. We'll talk off air.
I'm so glad you're here and not crazy, Ethan. So glad.
Yes.
But I have a whole bunch that I want to watch and that I'm supposed to watch, and I'm like taking notes over here. I'm like, okay, I have to watch this one now. I'm like getting writer's cramp. So I've kind of been quiet during all of this because I'm like, I don't know way too much and I don't want to sound stupid, so I'll just sit here and be cute.
Oh, we
Mission accomplished.
appreciate you.
There's never a wrong time to get into them, in my opinion. You know,
Better
it's
late than
never
never.
too late. Yeah, it's never too late.
Or
It's
in
a
my case.
Yeah.
So I do have a list, and we will be going through them. So any ones that you think I should watch as well, let me know.
The greatest part of a list of Jolly is it never ends. It never ends. I mean, just sort of jumping off. The next time we talk, I'd love to talk about women who were working in the genre outside of Italy.
Oh, yes, please.
There's American Jolly, there's Canadian Jolly, there's French Jolly. The concept of Giallo, I think, could only be birthed by Italy, but of course, how the beauty and the Gothic, the Rococo elements, and of course, I think speaking to what we're talking about, the changing roles of women in the 60s and 70s was really captured by the Jolly, by the actresses, by the composers, by the producers, and the 98 minutes we have with those people to really explore that, I think, speak to women's lib all around the world and a group of women stepping forward to really take advantage of that and leave their mark. And now we're chatting about them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to say one of the things that sticks out to me the most about like women in Giallos is, you know, like high fashion all around with Giallo, which I love. But yeah, they have like high profile careers. They own like fashion houses or galleries. They're detectives, you know, they're journalists. Like that's one of my favorite aspects of Giallo women. And they can be a killer too.
Yeah. Yes. Right. They're both the victim and the perpetrator, which is so awesome. But I love how when you really look at Central Europe, and we'll just mention Italy because that's the birthplace of Jolly. You know, Italy became a republic in 1955. That's not that long ago. And if you think about Daria's performance in 75, that is 20 years later. That is like lightning quick that women were no longer kept at home, had to have children. And in fact, the Daria Nicolodi character in Deep Red, I love that she's a journalist. She drives her own car. She does whatever she wants, and she looks amazing doing it.
Yes.
Such a great role model in a very strange way.
Yes, very Jamie, much so.
I love it. They're educated. They're entrepreneurial. They're sexually active. They do as they please, and you know, there's not a damn thing wrong with that as far as I am concerned.
I love it.
Yeah, you know what? And they also get respect, I feel like, you know, there's ones who are like working right alongside the men, or they're like the men would be lost without them in some of these situations.
Oh yeah.
Listen, most of the time us men would be lost without.
Correct. That might have nothing to do
without our women. So because I know without Stacy, I wouldn't know what the hell to do. So
yeah.
It's good that you know that, Ethan.
Good answer.
Good evolution, I think. But yeah, I you know, cinema to me is the language of the intellect, and more and more women expressing themselves intellectually, but in front of the camera, behind the camera, writing, all of it. It's just never not awesome. Never not awesome. Yeah. Like I said, I cheered when I saw Marina Cicogna's name. I'm sure the nice lady sitting beside me at the movie theater was like, all right. We got through.
Love it so much. Will you
I
tell
bet
our
she's wondering who the cool lady was next to her.
I'm sure she was not Jamie, but
Jamie's so nice.
Maybe she was high too, and she didn't give a shit.
So fair enough. I really hope she was. Nice lady sitting beside me when I yelled when I saw Marina Cicogna's name. I hope you were stoned AF as well.
Either way, I hope she had a great time, right?
Me too.
Yeah.
More Marina for everyone.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Chicago Horror Film Festival. For people who don't know what it is, let's fill them in a little bit on how amazing this event is.
You're so sweet, Nina. So the Chicago Horror Film Festival has been around in various iterations. It's been in the suburbs, it's been in the city, it's been big, it's been small. And recently it's been taken over by a small group of very passionate filmmakers, writers, actors, actresses, producers, critics. I mean, just the people who are involved, the nucleus of the people who are making the Chicago Horror Film Fest happen. I am just so impressed with them, so excited to be working with them. And the plan right now is to do 2 fests a year with monthly or sort of ongoing events to build a brand and make sure that everybody stays chatting and connected. We're so thrilled to be right now exclusively at the Logan, which is just such a beautiful theater. And how lucky are we in Chicago to have these restored palaces of real film going. And the gals who run that are crazy horror fans as well. So I will tell you, the last time I was there to have a business meeting, after half an hour of chatting, I was like, why am I here? Like, what are we supposed to be talking about? Just because we're talking about horror films and programming and, oh my God, we screened that. So the Chicago Horror Film Fest, I think, is just sort of, sliding right into Chicago's great history of scrappy, independent Midwest cinema, but we're also doing it with a range of talents and focuses. My team, for example, CJ, is very into modern horror, gory horror. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, CJ. Like, you got to come see my stylish Giallo where the killer is not revealed until the last 30 seconds. And he's like, no. So we have a good balance, actually, which I love.
Yeah.
And there are different perspectives in terms of ages and sexual identities and where people are from and what they're interested in. So I think, Chicago's a friendly town, and that's really important to me, that the fest not only shows really great emerging directors and scriptwriters and composers and producers, but it also maintains a really friendly, accessible, get her done kind of feel that I don't really think is anywhere but Chicago. Yeah. So really excited for Cannibal.
Yes.
I'm already thinking about, what Cannibal film am I going to screen on Saturday? So that's really fun to think about. And because I love pain and there's something really wrong with me, I'm already thinking about September as well. So you're so sweet to ask, but it's such a great little brand. And I think that horror is really having a very well-deserved moment, and to center it in the country's, I think, really authentic American city with so much happening production-wise is really an honor. Really an honor.
Absolutely. Now, for people who are interested, because we have horror fans of all ages, is the event family friendly?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I like that answer.
Yes.
Like, if you're the Manson family, absolutely. That's funny you said that, because I was just talking to the Logan ladies exactly about doing like some a horror marathon and starting it off with a very kid-friendly horror film. So I don't know if like the Saturday night block is great for kids, but I love the idea of bringing youngsters in to meet the people who are passionate, who are dedicated, and who are doing things, because that's the way the next generation, of course, will be exposed to horror, not like secretly renting VHS tapes from their local grocery store across the street.
Like we did. Yes.
You don't need to hide in the shadows anymore.
Right. We can do a little better at this point.
Now your twisted ass parents will just bring you. So
it was inevitable, Ethan. We gotta younger better at this point, I guess. I mean, it's funny you said that. Last year I screened the original Candyman which is just
one of my favorites.
Don't even get us started.
Every viewing gets better and better. Every viewing gets better and better. And I had one of the gents who was in the new Candyman as the guest, and we talked about the franchise and what it, how Chicago played a role. And one of my friends brought her 2 little kids, and they loved it. They loved it. They met Johnny. They stayed very present during the film. They asked really good questions afterward. So I think showing the next generation horror films in an environment that's supported, positive, open for discussion. I mean, horror films are how we work out our own tendencies, are what's repressed in all of us, obviously. Yeah. So after this, I'm going to slip into a foxy leather coat and walk around with a very shiny knife.
Yeah.
Turn on the Deep Red soundtrack.
That's right. It's already playing in my head on a constant loop anyway. So
I love it so much.
Yes, likewise.
Awesome. Well, the Chicago Horror Film Festival is going to be May 15th through the 18th. We will be there as well. We're so excited to be attending all 4 days. And Stephanie, we're just so happy that you are helping put this on, and just so appreciative of your generosity and your time speaking with us tonight. So thank you.
The pleasure is absolutely mine. I'm so excited to see what mayhem and nonsense we get up to in May.
Oh, it'll be a
Lots
lot.
of it.
Yes.
Lots of it.
Yes.
For sure.
I can't wait.
For sure.
All right, guys, just remember, if you ever find yourself in a horror movie, whether it's a giallo or not, just remember, don't have sex.
Don't do drugs.
And certainly don't die. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.